Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be discussing my August book haul. This is always one of my favorite videos to do and the most tiring because there's always a bunch of books I had to go through. And for those who haven't watched my July book haul video, I decided to ban myself for the month of August. Unfortunately, that didn't go so well, so I have quite a number of books again to show you guys. So anyways, let's just get right into it. So for the most part, I actually did a really good job with banning myself from buying books until the end of the third week of August when I discovered Book Outlet. Guys, that was the worst. And then at the last week of August, there was that blowout sale on Barnes & Noble and I decided to purchase a bunch of stuff. And then there was also this 15% off discount, so I purchased things again. So anyways, I will not be discussing my Book Outlet purchases this month or in this video because I technically received it in September. It took quite some time for them to arrive, and I already have like 20 books to share with you guys today. So for the sake of time and everything, I will leave my Book Outlet books, which I purchased over 10 books in the September book haul video. So today I'm going to share with you guys all the other books that I received this past month that I actually received in August. So for the first 3 books that I got was from Book of the Month. Book of the Month recently have been doing really well with their selections. There was a period of time when I didn't find any books that I wanted, which is why I decided to cancel it. But then recently I realized that some of the books they were selecting again were actually really interesting, and I like the fact that when you add on a book, it's only $10, which is such a great deal for really nice hardcovers, which are usually retail price for like 20 something dollars. So it's such a great deal for that. But anyways, the first book that I picked up is The Air You Breathe by Francis de Pontes Peebles. I'm hoping I pronounced that last name correct. So this book is set in the 1930s in Brazil specifically, and it's about this orphan girl called Doris and this really well-off girl called Graças. And at first glance, their friendship seems very unlikely because Doris comes from she's orphan, as I said already, and she's working in the kitchen in this sugar plantation, whereas Graças is this really well-off, very pretty, very rich girl. And the reason why they become such close friends is because of their shared passion for music. So despite being born to vastly different worlds, because of their love for music, they quickly form this really intense friendship and bond. And this book just mostly follows the story of the two of them and their friendship, and how at the end of the day only one of them is destined to become a star. So I'm really excited for this book. I'm also really excited I have to pick this up really soon because I'm also doing a buddy read for this, which I'm very pumped for. I actually just recently started doing buddy reading and it's been so much fun to do, so I'm very excited to pick this one up for that. So next book that I picked up from Book of the Month is As Bright as Heaven by Suzanne Meisner. I know I'm not a really big fan of historical fiction. I've recently been picking up a lot of them, mainly because I think ever since I read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna, I've realized historical fiction, if they're done well, are so good and they're so vivid and they're amazing. So this is another historical fiction as well. So this book takes place in the US in the early 1900s, and it follows a woman called Pauline Bright and her family, which basically consists of her husband and her 3 daughters. And at first, in the beginning of the book, they are filled with such hope with the prospects of being in America. I'm assuming they came from somewhere else and not from America, from what I understand. Not really sure about that though. But then the Spanish flu reaches the shore of North America, and this pandemic claims over thousands and thousands of life in their city, and then they realize that the world they're now in is not the one that they knew. And so this book just really focuses on their tragedy and the challenges during this trying time and what they're willing to do about it. So I'm really excited for this book and definitely can't wait to pick this one up soon. The next book that I got from Book of the Month is The Anomaly by Michael Rucker. I already talked about this book briefly in my Netflix book tag video, which I will link above in case you want to check that out. But the main reason why I decided to pick this one up from Book of the Month is because it describes itself as Indiana Jones meet the X-Files, and I loved Indiana Jones growing up, so I was very enthused about this book. So this book follows the story of Nolan Moore, who is this rogue archaeologist who has his own documentary series that is kind of better received by conspiracy theorists as opposed to real archaeologists. And then one day he decides to go explore this mysterious cavern, and just when he thinks that he might have found what he's been looking for this entire time, the trip ends up taking a nasty turn. So I'm very excited about it. There's supposed to be a lot of thriller involved. Someone mentioned to me that the book ended not the way how she had expected it to be, but it kept her turning. So I'm assuming the thrilling and the thriller aspect, the mystery aspect, is done really well, so I'm very excited for this one. The next book that I picked up, I actually talked about this in my September TBR, so I'm ready, on the verge of picking this one up really soon, and that is The Rule of One by Ashley and Leslie Saunders. And as I already mentioned in that TBR video, which I will link above in case you want to check that out, so this book is basically set in the near future of the US, where there's now this one-child policy, which is very similar to the one that we now know in China, which is where families are only allowed to have one child per family. However, there's a girl called Ava Goodwin who has been living the past 18 years with this intense secret, this massive secret, because she has this identical twin sister called Mira. And so for the past 18 years, they've basically been living their lives as one, alternating their days or their lives as each other, and basically role-playing as one another. And then of course one day this secret becomes exposed and their nightmare begins, and this book just sounds really fascinating. I already mentioned how it's very similar to this movie called What Happened to Monday, which I really enjoyed, so I'm very anticipating this book as well. The next book that I received is actually from the publisher slash author, and that is Keeper of the Bees by Meg Castle. She actually did a guest post on my blog, which I will link down below for your interest if you're interested in checking out what she wrote on my blog. So this book follows a boy called Dresden who is cursed. For some reason, his chest lives this hive of bees, and he can't stop the bees from stinging people and killing them. And for some reason, he has been like this for centuries now. And because he knows that he brings a lot of death, he tends to follow harbingers of death, so those that his bees sting, they're gonna die anyway. And then one day he meets a girl called Essie who suffers from delusions and hallucinations, and for some miraculous reason she does not see him as a monster, and because of that he risks his life to spare her life from the bees in his chest. And then what starts off as a solitary kindness ends up spiraling down, and this impossible romance starts to develop. So this book does sound really interesting to me. I read on here somewhere that it's supposed to be like Beauty and the Beast, but it's like a retelling or it's inspired by it, so I'm very excited for it. The next book that I received is actually from a giveaway, and that is All These Beautiful Strangers by Elizabeth Klefoth. Hoping I pronounced that last name correctly, but this is supposed to be a psychological thriller, and I'm very excited for it. So this book follows a girl called Gracie whose mother disappeared without a trace when she was only 7 years old, and years later she is still suffering from the dark legacy of her family name, and she's still not really sure what had happened all those years ago. And so she throws herself into this new boarding school, this elite New England boarding school, and there she quickly becomes friends with the school's it crowd, and she becomes involved with this secret society. And to become a member of this secret society, there is a semester-long diabolical scavenger hunt that she must do and go through to become a member. And then as the book continues, the past and the present is supposed to converge, and all these terrible secrets from the past starts to reveal itself in the future or in the present. So I'm very excited for this book. I don't really read that many psychological thrillers. I just read thrillers and mystery novels, but psychological usually are really interesting to me, so I'm pretty excited for this one. The next book that I got is actually one that I purchased. This is the first purchase that I made this past month, though technically I made this purchase sometime in July, but because Book Depository takes forever for shipping, but thankfully it's still free shipping, it did arrive sometime in August, and that is Save the Date by Morgan Matson. I'm so excited for this book. I recently have been really interested in contemporary romance novels, maybe because it's the summer or it's still the summer, so I'm just very enthused with this genre in particular, and I've heard really good things about this book, so I'm really excited for it. Also, I really like this UK cover as opposed to the US cover. This one just looks so much cuter, I think. I don't know, the pink dress, the shoes just looks really well together. So the book follows a story called Charlie Grant, whose sister is getting married, and now that all her siblings are back in town and her childhood crush is coming back as well, this weekend is supposed to be this unforgettable one. And as is typical of life as well as books, things do not go as planned. So there's a lot of hilarity, comedy that starts to ensue, and just things just start to spiral out of control. And then so over the course of this weekend, she learns more about her family than she had ever expected, and then she also realized that holding on to the past may mean missing out on the future. So I'm very excited for it, very enthused about this book. So then the next book that I got is actually from the publisher. This one came as a surprise to me, so I really don't know anything about this book, and that book is called Meet This Guy by Mikal Hoy. So it says right here that it is a story of love, letting go, and the unstoppable power of nature, and apparently this girl is supposed to find herself trapped on this island with this guy. So I'm already very intrigued by that premise already, so we shall see how this goes. The next book that I got was from the Bookish Wish hashtag on Twitter. This is the only bookish wish that I got granted. So thank you so much for Olivia for sending this to me. I will link all her links down below, so definitely go check her out. But the book that she sent me is Grim Lovelies by Megan Shepherd. I have been eyeing this book for such a long time now, and I'm so glad that I finally have my hands on it. This book follows a girl called Nook, who's a beastie changeling, which means that she's enchanted from a animal to a human due to magic. And then one day her mistress, the one who enchanted her, is murdered, and now she only has 3 days, as well as her fellow beastie changes. They only have 3 days for this spell to wear off, and they turn back into animals forever. And in a desperate attempt to save themselves, they venture out into the outside world, where they discover a secret that apparently they exist for a far deadlier reason. And so now every magic handler in the city is after them. So I'm so excited for it. It's supposed to be, it says it's perfect for fans of Marissa Meyer, Holly Black, and Cassandra Clare, and I'm a fan of all 3 authors, so I am so pumped for this book. Then the next book that I got is actually from a Goodreads giveaway. I have not won a giveaway from Goodreads in such a long time, so I was completely shocked that I actually won this giveaway, and it's actually for a book that I'm so excited for. And that book is called City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, and I am so excited for this book. I'm mostly excited for this book because there's magic involved, especially jinns, and I just love the idea of that. And it's set in Egypt, which I also really want to go to. As a bucket list destination for me. So with these 2 things, I'm just really excited for it. I believe this was, my friend has been hounding me to read this book for the longest time now, so I'm glad that I finally have this book and cannot wait to pick this one up. And then the next book that I got is also from another giveaway, not Goodreads though, it's for a different giveaway altogether, and the book that I won from that giveaway is The Museum of Us by Tara Wilson Reid. So this book is all about secrets and how secrets are con artists because they trick you into letting them out. So this book follows a girl called Sadie, and one day she finds out for some reason that her hidden life might be exposed, and now she just has to confront the truth of the past and protect the world that she does not want to lose. So this book does sound really interesting, and definitely can't wait to pick this one up. So the next book that I got is actually from a subscription box called the Book Box Club, and the book that I got this past month is called Jinx by Amy McCulloch. And this book does sound really intriguing to me. It's about these robotic pets who basically have the capability of smartphones but so much more. So this book follows a girl called Lacey Chu who really wants to get into the Profectus Academy, but she can't afford to do that. And then she meets this Baku, who is a robotic animal called Jinx. And then Jinx somehow opens the world to Lacey and is somehow able to do a bunch of things that most Bakus cannot do, and his abilities far surpasses most other robotic animals. So Jinx is not really sure what exactly he is because he seems very real. So this book does sound very intriguing. It looks kind of thriller aspect as well, so we shall see how this goes. And then the next few books that I picked up are from Barnes & Noble, either from their blowout sale or from their 50% off discount Labor Day sale. So these are all the books. I think the rest of the books are all from Barnes & Noble. So the first book that I picked up was The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I am so excited for this book. I didn't hear about this book until recently, but I'm always looking for Asian inspired fantasy novels, and this one is definitely that. So this is an epic fantasy novel that has roots in the 20th century China, and I am just so excited for it. It says right here, they trained her for a war, she intends to end it. So I've heard really positive things about this and definitely cannot wait to pick this one up soon. But the next book that I pick up is one that everyone has been raving about for God knows how long, and that book is called Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I've been hesitant about picking this up for the longest time because I did not like her previous books. That one, for some reason, I listened to an audiobook, so I'm hoping that by actually getting a physical copy I will enjoy it a lot more. And plus this was only $6 I think on Barnes & Noble, so it was such a steal for me to pick this one up. But in theory though, this should be everything that I like in books. I like fantasy, I like magic, I like about lost cities, I like gods, mythology, all that stuff, and this book has it all. So in theory I should really enjoy it. Whether or not I actually enjoy it, I have to decide yet. I haven't figured that out, but I'm still really anticipating this one because everyone literally on Goodreads is like, I'm blown away, this book was amazing, BookTube says the same, Twitter says the same, so by all rights I should really enjoy this book. So I'm definitely picking this up soon because I'm doing a read along for this, so we shall see how this book goes. Yeah. The next book that I got is actually from a giveaway hosted by the author herself, and that is called Our Year of Maybe by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I actually got a book bow as well, this book sleeve, which I was really excited about, but then I realized that it doesn't even fit her book. It's so pretty, but it doesn't even fit her book, even though I thought it would fit, but it doesn't. So a little disappointed on that. So I think this one is mostly fit for like Kindles or like an e-reader or something like that, and not actually for books, except for maybe mass market paperbacks. But other than that though, I'm very excited for this one. But moving on to the actual book. This book is about a girl called Sophie whose best friend Peter is basically her secret crush for the longest time, and he needs a kidney transplant. And then once she found out that she's actually a match, donating a kidney seems like the easiest choice because again, they've been best friends forever and she has this massive crush on him. Unfortunately though, Peter's post-life after transplant is not what they had expected, and even though apparently he once had feelings for Sophie, after this transplant he starts to have feelings now for a guitarist called Chase. So as the book continues, Sophie becomes increasingly bitter because he does not seem to feel the same connection, and Peter's afraid that he will be forever indebted to her. And then one night something heartbreaking happens and it basically twists their friendship and their relationship into something that neither of them recognizes. So I am really intrigued by this book and definitely can't wait to pick this one up. And then the next book that I purchased from Barnes & Noble is one that a lot of people have raved about, and for some reason I just never picked it up, and this one is called Autobiography by Christina Lauren. And the main reason why I'm picking this up is also because it's a contemporary romance novel and I really enjoy that right now. It's also an LGBT novel, which I don't really read too much of for some weird reason. I just feel like I just don't pick them up as often. So this one, I'm making it a point to pick this one up. So this book follows a boy called Tanner Smith whose family just basically moved from California to Utah, and originally he was out of the closet. He is a bisexual teen, but because of this move he decided to temporarily go back into the closet. And then one day his best friend Autumn finds out about this seminar, which is basically you spend 4 months to draft a novel, and he decides to take a stab at it because he thinks that writing a book in 4 months is really simple, because 4 months is an eternity. And he's right, 4 months is a long time, because apparently it only takes 1 second for him to notice Sebastian, who is the mentor for the seminar, and another month for him to completely fall in love with him. So I'm so excited for this book. This book sounds like a lot of gushy, mushy romance in it, so definitely can't wait to pick this one up. The next book that I picked up is one that was highly recommended to me by TJ. He has been raving about this for quite some time now, and this book is called Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sainz. Hoping I pronounced that name right. I feel like I don't have that twirl of my tongue as it's supposed to pronounce, but anyways, this book sounds really good. This book basically follows the story of Aristotle, or Ari, and Dante, and they're basically completely different. They have nothing in common with each other at first glance, but then against all odds they end up meeting and they develop a special friendship. So the book just really focuses on their friendship and learning the most important truths of each other, as well as what kind of people they want to be. So I've heard that this book is amazing. There's so much friendship and bond in this book, and it's very emotional as well, so definitely can't wait to pick this one up soon. Then the next book that I purchased is These Rebel Waves by Sarah Rash. I'm really excited for this book. For a few number of reasons actually. The first one is I really liked her previous trilogy. Absolutely loved it. It was such a good trilogy. I feel like it's underhyped, by the way. And then also I've heard that this is about gay pirates, which I find very intriguing about this, and also there's magic involved. So with these 3 things, I definitely can't wait to pick this one up. And then the final 2 books that I purchased is basically so I can get the entire trilogy of the Kevin Kwan Crazy Rich Asians. So I got Rich People Problems as well as China Rich Girlfriend. Definitely can't wait to pick this up. I'm probably going to read these closer to when they come out in the movies, so I'm really excited for it. So I'm not going to go too much into details about either of these books because these are the second and the 3rd book in the series. But basically, for the first book, for those who don't know what Crazy Rich Asians is about, basically it's about a woman called Rachel Chu who is dating a boy called Nick Young, and somehow she doesn't really know too much about his family, and then one day he decides to invite her back to Singapore, which is where he grew up, to attend his best friend's wedding. And there she finds out that he's actually from this crazy rich society. They're incredibly rich. Everyone that he knows is super rich there. And then she finds out about whether or not she can live with them, whether or not there's something she foresee in her future, and whether or not she can be welcomed in that kind of crowd. So the book is amazing, the movie's amazing. Definitely pick it up, watch the movie if you haven't already, and I liked this so much that I went to grab the last 2 books. So anyway, these are all the books that I got this month, either books that I purchased, books that I got from publishers, giveaways. Also got one from Bookish Wish, which I'm so grateful for still. But these are all the books that I got this past month. Let me know in the comments below if any of these books you have read already, if you liked it or not, which ones are on your TBR as well. Let me know all in the comments down below. Definitely can't wait to pick up some of these books immediately. But anyways, that's all to say for this video. If you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's it for today, guys. Thank you. Bye.